The lesson topic for this video is review of factoring quadratics with a equals 1, and we are going to want to do these types of factoring problems very, very fast. So I just want to remind you, whenever this leading coefficient in front of x squared is a 1, which means it's not actually going to show up, we want to be able to factor this very, very quickly. So I'm going to remind you quickly of what the longer kind of process is, and then practice a few of these faster. So first thing you want to remember is that we do not need to use magic number or the AC method or whatever your teacher has called it in the past. We do not have to multiply the 1x squared times 6 and then break it down into 2 halves and that kind of thing. We just have to write the C term. We don't even have to write it once we get used to these fast, but if you want to write the C term and then list the factor pairs for that number. So 6 is 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. And we need the factor pair that adds up to the B term, the middle term, which in this case is 7. So we know that is 1 and 6 because they add up to 7. And now we are able to factor this into, well, x here and x here, because remember, x times x is x squared. And then we need plus 1 and plus 6 because they're both positive. So plus 1 and plus 6. Again, remember, if we FOIL this, we'd get x squared plus 6x plus 1x, which is 7x, plus 6, which is what we started with. So again, we want to be able to do this faster, because for the problems that we're about to start in this unit, we are going to be factoring up to 4 or 6 problems in one problem, I should say. Factor 6 different quadratics in one problem. So first of all, I want to just make a quick fix here. This should not be a plus 15 right here. This should be minus, okay? It's obviously needs to be able to work and factor if I want to show you how to factor it quickly. All right, so we know we're going to have 2 sets of parentheses, and they're both going to start with an x because x times x is x squared, so we can put that in right away. And again, if you want to show this part, you can. If you're getting really good at factoring and you don't need that anymore, you don't need to show that. What I want to think about here is what 2 numbers multiply together to give me negative 15? Well, we know right away that one of them is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative, right? So if you wanted to put a positive and a negative in right away, and then think about what 2 numbers, if we multiplied them, give us that negative 15, but when we add them, gives us negative 2. Well, you're probably thinking, I hope, 3 and 5. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. One of them has to be negative. Maybe we throw it in here. They will add up to 2, but we need it to add up to negative 2. So we're going to change that to the positive 1 and that to the negative 1. So we need x plus 3 and x minus 5. Again, a lot of you will get quicker and quicker at doing these as we go. All right, so let's try this one. X squared minus 10x plus 24. All right, so a is 1. We're going to put our parentheses down. We know it's going to be x times x to give us that x squared. And now this is actually one of the most common ones that is wrong, because you might think right away to get the 10, 24 is 2 times 12, and 2 times 12, or 2 and 12 helps us get maybe that negative 10. But that's actually not going to work because this needs to be negative 10, and this needs to be positive 24. So if you think again through those numbers, we know 2 times 12 is 24, but they add up to 14. If you change them both to negative, they multiply to give us, again, positive 24, but they add up to negative 14. And you can't just switch 1 to positive, even though that adds up to negative 10, which is what we need in the middle. It no longer multiplies and gives us positive 24, gives us negative 24. So be really careful. That doesn't work. So what are the other factors of 24 that might add up to 10? Well, 3 times, let's try again, 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, and if they were both negative, again, we would multiply these and get positive 24, and we'd add them, and we'd get negative 10. So we would need x minus 4 and x minus 6. This negative 12 and 2 does not work. So again, just a really quick reminder of how we factor, and we're going to want to get very quick and very good at doing these.